All right, once again, we are live with A Journey Through My Brain. My name is Paul Wertinen, and you know what? Welcome back. Now, a lot of you probably don't know this, but I've been gone for a little bit. There's a whole explanation about that coming up soon, but I welcome you to my channel, no matter where you're at in the world, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening. I welcome you to my channel. Now, I have been gone for a little while. I really haven't done any streams for the last, let's say, year. Well, there's a good reason for that. After spending the last 12 years in the great state of Tennessee in the United States here, I decided to move. So in the job hunting process, we finally settled into coming back home to Minnesota. So we found a good job, packed everything up, and moved up here in December of last year. What an odd time to come from Tennessee to Minnesota, but hey, really wasn't that bad of winter for a Tennessean, I guess. Well, and actually, I grew up in this area, and it was good to be back home. So that's why I've been gone for a while. Now, the interesting thing is, I have studio space. A little bit more space than I had before in my old Tennessee studio. Kind of similar setups, but much more space. Behind me is the set I brought back from Tennessee with me. A couple additions here with a couple microscopes behind me and a couple telescopes to the sides of me here. But I decided, you know what, we're going to make this into a nice little cozy studio here and get back into our YouTube videos. Now, one thing I want to do with this stream, and we're going to talk about how you actually can start streaming yourself. A lot of people are like, I'm too old to start streaming. Well, guess what? You probably aren't. Let me talk about that a little bit later. First, I want to kind of give you the dream setup that I've got here, where I'm going, where I'm at right now, and where I'm going. A lot of things are, I want to keep my show kind of familiar, casual. We're going to have hopefully some good conversations as time goes on. More people start seeing the stream. We're going to get into live chats and things like that. But I want to keep this casual. So my philosophy in doing any type of videos, whether they're live or recorded, is, I hate to edit. I know editing is one of those things that is kind of those necessary evils when it comes down to doing live shows and stuff like that. Well, doing video work. I wouldn't necessarily say live shows because there's not a lot of editing I can do during a live show. But there is a lot of ability to refine. I'm not one of those kind of people. I want you to see what it is like to do YouTube, to get up in front of an audience, and and sometimes make mistakes. That's what this is about. I am going to come to you raw, live, as much as possible. Anything I do recorded is going to be raw and live as much as, or raw and, uncut, unfiltered, uncut. Because if I make mistakes, I want you to see those mistakes. Because here's the whole my whole philosophy behind it. That's right. Learning how to speak is don't be afraid to make mistakes. Because you are going to make mistakes when you start doing shows, when you start getting in front of the camera. You're going to get nervous. You're going to get flustered. Everything's going to go wrong sometimes. But have no fear. That's where the best learning process comes. Now, believe me, when I started doing streams several years ago, I couldn't even think of half the words I wanted to say. But nowadays, it comes to you being a little bit more natural. Okay, I stumble on a word here and there, but I want you to feel that that's okay. It's okay to be not perfect. You've got a message to tell everybody. I've got a message to tell people, and let's just get those messages out. So, Anyways, let's jump back to my studio setup here. I've got a great studio behind me, but you notice I got some plastic right here behind me that I'm going to cover up here shortly. I'm going to hang up some curtains. You know, I thought about finishing off the space with maybe some drywall, different things like that. And I'm like, you know what, this is good enough. Let me hang up some curtains behind me. I can change them out once in a while, kind of spice things up, maybe change them out with the seasons. So I'm going to put up a curtain rod behind the shelves there. We're going to make this into a nice little studio area. And off to the left of me, my left, I'm going to add another little set. So this is my live streaming set, but I think I'm going to want to have a place where I can maybe do some recordings or some other type of live streaming, maybe different look, different views than what I've got right here. One of the things I was actually thinking maybe is let's put a green screen in over here. I got plenty of room over here. I got what, a 10, 15 foot wall, 8 feet high approximately. I could put in a decent green screen there. In front of me, I've thought about putting another studio, just be able to turn the cameras around, but like, well, that might be where some of the, I gotta have a place for the equipment, the things that it takes to run the studio, my lights and everything like that. So we're gonna work on those. We are going to build this studio together live. Why not? I'm gonna show you how to do that. And that's kind of what the beginning of this whole project is about. Showing you that yes, you can do this live streaming stuff. It is okay. It is okay to make mistakes. Now, what is the journey through my brain? The journey through my brain is kind of whatever I think about. It's could change from day to day, minute to minute, stream to stream. But, I mean, I've got so many interests, so many hobbies. I do computers, I do things with optics, obviously cameras and telescopes and microscopes. I mean, I've been a photographer since, 30 plus years, probably 35 years now. I've been doing photography, mostly wildlife, landscape photography. And, I kind of want to maybe show you how to do that. Maybe how to incorporate some of that into a show. So that would be kind of the theme, how to get a live stream started, what it takes to do that, what you need for a studio. Because quite honestly, you can start live streaming with this thing right here, the cell phone. You don't need a studio setup like what I've got or what you see on other creators on YouTube. You just need a cell phone. Pick up your cell phone and start recording. You don't even have to do it live. Go to YouTube Studio, start recording, whatever you want. But I'm going to show you the process that I use, the equipment I use, different software that I use, and we're going to go in depth. I'm going to show you live how to use this stuff. I mean, I'm using a free software, OBS, to get this message out. Okay, I do have a paid software that I use on my Windows machine, but honestly, that's not quite working the way I would like it to. Windows machine got upgraded not too long ago, and there are still some glitches. So I am using my free software. I like open source software. It is one of my most favorite things to use, not just for streams, but for everyday use. I use multiple different open source free software that we are going to review. We are going to show you how to use these things and how to incorporate them into your shows. So that is what this show is about. Yes, maybe as time goes on and we get comfortable, we're going to start talking different subjects. I'm a kind of a jack of all trades when it comes to topics. I can pick up anything from woodworking, electronics, photography, astronomy, you name it. Well, we can go there. Live streaming is also another good thing. I can even show you a few tricks. Well, I wouldn't say tricks, but a few things I do with maybe games live streams. The world is open to interpretation when it comes to whatever I'm going to think of to do for a show. But I'm going to try to keep it consistent for the most part. I'm going to find ways to tie all these different topics into my live streams, my videos, so that you guys can see that it's okay no matter what you talk about. We're going to have good content, we're going to have good fun, and this is going to be the journey through my brain. So, that's kind of more of like my philosophy. As I said, I'm going to have a couple different studios set up here. I do have another room over here that to my right, that is kind of like my tech room. I've got, I'm building a server rack in here, kind of where all my networking equipment is. I'm actually going to build a wall so I have more shelf space, because right now everything's scattered on the floors, just like it is over here. I got a lot of boxes. You can see a stack of wires sitting right here. Almost 3 feet high of power wires. I've got all my electronics. I've got rolling carts over here. I got to get them on shelves. We're going to build shelves. We're going to put shelves in. We're going to make that into a nice space, and you're going to see this process come together while I do that. I got my streaming computer over here that is in my tech room here. I've got a nice little window. I've got a workbench here, so if I'm doing some electronics, I could actually have a nice little area to work. So that is kind of the studio setup that I have. And it is just, I'm excited. I'm excited to be back here, excited for this stream. All right, let's see here. Let me get things in here. Just checking these streams just to make sure just make sure no one has showed up for the stream here, because I wasn't really expecting it. We're going to get some more people coming in here, jumping in here as time goes on, maybe with some of these rewatches and stuff like that. You know, when you first start out, you may not get many people watching, but that's okay. You're still getting your message out there. You may not have very many people during a live show or anything like that, but people are going to eventually find your stuff, and you're just going to work out. I have known several people that have done live shows like what I do and never had a viewer, and still ended up with some really nice income out of it. Not just because they monetized on YouTube, they couldn't because they didn't have the viewership. But companies are like, hey, you know what? I like your work. Let's cut a deal. I'm open to that too. So that's exactly what the show is about. Anything we want to talk about, streaming, photography, we're going to kind of let the show flow figure itself out, kind of what audience wants to see, and go from there. So anyone can start a YouTube channel. Not a problem. As I said, grab a phone, go outside, sit at a picnic table, sit in a park, and just start recording. You've got a message. You've got hobbies. You've got interests that other people want to hear about. You know, it was interesting when I started out. I was participating in a live stream. I wasn't doing the live stream. Mentor was doing a live stream, and I was part of the audience listening, and they asked a question, and I answered them. I said, you know what? What makes me an expert? Because I was struggling a little bit to figure out my themes, my topics, because I was like, what makes me an expert? Why would anybody want to listen to me? I hear a lot of great creators out there, great content, and it's like, why would anybody want to listen to me? And it was like all of a sudden the show stopped, and these creators stopped the show essentially, and they're like, you know what? You have a message that nobody else can provide. essentially is what they said. To somebody else, you are an expert. As long as you know more than somebody that's just beginning something, like photography. I've been doing this 30 years. I'm not a professional necessarily, as the term would say. I've sold pictures. I've done plenty of that in the past, but I really haven't been an active professional photographer in a while. But I have a lot of good skills that maybe an amateur, somebody just starting out, would love to know about. How do you do this? How do you do that? Of course, I can help you with that. Computers. I've used Macs. I've used Windows. I use a Linux system. I love Linux. I've got cloud servers. I'm going to be setting up my first Synology server, Synology storage, network storage device. I'm going to be setting that up here. I just purchased that this last weekend. I am the expert to somebody else. We're going to walk through these things. We're going to learn about it. And you, as a YouTuber, as a person, know more about a topic than somebody just starting out. That's what makes you so valuable. That's what makes your message so valuable. And yes, you too can do YouTube. And it's not just for young kids. Think about it. Yes, I'm over 50 years old. I'm 55 years old. I've been doing YouTube for a handful of years. Maybe not as consistent as I would like, but I do YouTube. I've seen people start up YouTube channels in their 50s, 60s, 70s. A photographer that I follow, his dad, I wouldn't say necessarily went behind his back, but went behind his back, and his son found out this dad started his YouTube channel, and this photographer was like, Dad, you started a YouTube channel? Well, why didn't you come and ask me? And he looked at the YouTube channel. He's like, wow, this is great, great content. It doesn't matter how old you are. You've got a message to give somebody. And that is valuable. That is recording of your thoughts, your memories, your expertise, and allowing somebody else to know it. Somebody else to know who you are. There's sometimes I wish my grandpa would have maybe talked a little bit more. Maybe he had a channel or something like that. He was a very quiet, I'd say a little bit quieter person. And there's a lot of things I've learned about him after he's no longer with us. And it's like, I spent a lot of time with Grandpa as a kid, as a young adult. I spent a lot of time with him and learned a lot of things. But yet, there were still a lot of things I didn't know about him and what he contributed to this world. That would have been a fascinating story. So, it doesn't matter how old you are, what your skill level, what your equipment is like. I have equipment because, I'm a techie. I thrive on collecting equipment. Don't get my wife started on that, because she'll be like, what do you do with all this stuff? Why do you need that? How much was that? Yeah, those are the questions I get asked all the time. The Synology NAS I just bought, oh boy, hot topic right there. But I said, you know what? Let's put it together. We're going to save all those pictures that should be backed up. Yeah, I like technology. My wife tells me I need some cheaper hobbies. Well, cheap? Sure, absolutely. YouTube is cheap. I'm just going to utilize the equipment I've already got and start recording myself and recording messages and being there for my audience. Cell phone in hand. In fact, I'm thinking maybe next week or very soon I'll be doing a whole show just from the cell phone. Maybe. We'll see. I just want you to know that it is possible to have a YouTube channel to let people know who you Now, what's next for this channel? Well, hopefully we're going to keep coming to you Tuesday evenings here in the great state of Minnesota, United States, and I'd like to continue about 6 o'clock. So put it on your calendars. I know there's some weeks, like next week, I'm not going to be here at 6. I'm just going to tell you right now, I have appointments. I can't get around them. I may have to shift it away, maybe Monday or let's say Wednesday. I will try to get here next week at some point, but these are pre-existing appointments that I need to attend, and so I just won't be here next week. But I will try to keep a Tuesday schedule so that you all can get used to where I'm at, when I'm at, and get to know me, so I can also get to know you. So that is really what is next for this channel. So, you know what? I've made a few mistakes today, stumbled on some words, but you know what? We have survived. This channel is going to go on. Just because I made some mistakes doesn't mean I got to shut down and edit everything out and start over. This is who I am. I'm not perfect. Why set yourself up for failure? A refined channel is awesome. And the more you do it, the more refined you're going to get. The less you're going to stumble on your words, and the better you are going to be at doing this whole YouTube thing, whole video creating thing. That is, I guess, the entirety of my message for tonight. You too can start a YouTube channel. I don't care how old you are, what your expertise is. You have a message to tell people, and it is about time you get out there and message people. Get that message out to people. Now, if you have any questions, comments, like what you see, go ahead, subscribe to this channel, The Journey Through My Brain. Like this channel, and why not share this channel? I will keep it open to you if you like what you see. And I really do hope that you come back next week. I'll try to let you know. You can follow me on Facebook, The Journey Through My Brain on Facebook, on Instagram. I'm there. I'm in those spots. Maybe I'll try to let you know. I can't guarantee because sometimes I forget, but I will let you know when the next show is. As I said, it will either be Monday or Friday next week because Tuesday I am off. Way to start out a show. Hey, start a regular live show, be consistent. Oh, I got to take the second show off because I've got an appointment. Well, we're going to work around that. We are going to get away from that. So, as we dive deeper into this, I hope you join me and come back for some more shows. I appreciate your time tonight, and